You walk into an abandoned building, and the air immediately feels heavier. The hairs on your arms stand up. Your heart rate ticks up slightly. Your breathing gets shallow, and your peripheral vision sharpens, scanning the corners of the room before you even consciously decide to look. Neuroscientists call this a threat response cascade. Your amygdala has effectively hit the panic button, flooding your system with low-level alert signals. Your body is doing exactly what it evolved to do, acting as a highly sensitive alarm system that detects a genuine environmental hazard long before your conscious brain can process it. It makes perfect evolutionary sense that deep shadows, the smell of mold, or the sudden creak of a floorboard make us hypervigilant. Those were legitimate survival cues for our ancestors navigating dark forests. But those survival instincts fail to explain why some spaces feel intensely wrong, even in broad daylight, with the lights on and completely silent. Measurable physical frequencies, generated by the architecture itself, are what trigger this sense of dread by directly hijacking your biology. Once we discard the supernatural, we can measure exactly how decaying architecture actively manipulates the human body. Take a look at this frequency spectrum chart. Human hearing operates in a specific window, from about 20 Hz up to 20,000 Hz. But right here, below 20 Hz, sits a zone of invisible sound called infrasound. These long, powerful waves pass straight through walls and directly into your organs. They resonate in your chest cavity and interfere with your inner ear, causing profound disorientation. In 1998, an engineer named Vic Tandy was working alone in this bright, completely sterile laboratory at Coventry University. Despite the setting, he suddenly broke into a cold sweat, felt a creeping sense of dread, and watched a gray shape dart across his peripheral vision. Tandy set up his acoustic equipment and found a standing wave of infrasound echoing off the walls, generated by a newly installed extraction fan. It was humming at exactly 18.98 Hz, the precise resonant frequency of the human eyeball. Ancient stone cellars and deteriorating pipe networks accidentally act as massive resonance chambers for this exact 18 Hz wave. The building mechanically vibrates your eyes, literally smearing your vision to produce the dark shadow figures we associate with hauntings. The acoustic layer is just the start. Old, poorly ventilated houses frequently conceal a second architectural threat: low-level carbon monoxide leaks. When a deteriorating gas pipe or a blocked fireplace slowly fills a room, the neurological symptoms trigger almost immediately. Long before it becomes lethal, carbon monoxide exposure induces severe paranoia, profound confusion, and vivid hallucinations. In 1921, an entire family documented a terrifying poltergeist in their home, doors opening on their own, accompanied by the feeling of being watched. A doctor investigated and traced the entity directly to a faulty furnace pumping gas into the house. They fixed the furnace, and the ghost vanished. The decaying atmosphere had simply turned a biological poisoning event into what the victims perceive as a supernatural attack. Then we have the third layer. Pre-1950s wiring often produces erratic, pulsing electromagnetic fields, radiating throughout the walls of an old home. This cross-section of the brain shows how overlapping magnetic waves directly stimulate the temporal lobe. Neuroscientist Michael Persinger spent decades running controlled experiments, proving that exposing this specific brain region to erratic magnetic fields reliably synthesizes the undeniable physical feeling that another entity is standing in the room with you. Now imagine experiencing all of these simultaneously. Your body is hit by infrasound, low-level carbon monoxide, and pulsing magnetic fields. To cope with this overwhelming sensory chaos, your brain's aggressive pattern recognition system, known as pareidolia, goes into overdrive. It searches the darkness to find a physical reason for the dread. The ghost is an invention. It is your mind desperately assigning a recognizable face to an invisible environmental assault. So the next time you walk into a decaying building, remember that your physical experience is entirely valid. The goosebumps, the racing heart, the flicker in your peripheral vision, all of that is absolutely real. This haunting is the physics of a decaying building. Your biology is responding to an actual physical environment, while the ghost is the narrative your brain constructs to explain the symptoms. For thousands of years, long before we could measure acoustics or map the temporal lobe, humanity walked into structures like this and felt that exact same terror. They built massive, sprawling belief systems and mythologies just to explain it. Which leaves us with a difficult question. What else are we afraid of right now? What other modern, undeniable terrors are currently tricking our biology? Our hardware is incredibly easy to hack. It forces you to wonder what deeply felt, absolutely real experiences a future generation will easily debunk with a 10-minute lesson in physics.